Want to show your support for the best contestant in the Contest of Champions? Then buy the limited run Team Pylo shirt now! From Galtron Corez to Horde the Unstoppable, Pylo will rock you! There's no stopping this pile of rocks from sweeping the 1049th contest. Rocks fall, and everyone else dies! Show your support for Pylo from March 12th through the 26th by pre-ordering a Team Pylo shirt now. This shirt will only be available for a limited time, so get it while you can. Click the link in the video description now. Hashtag Team Pylo.
Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. And welcome back to Event Comics Month 2, Crisis of the Wars. DC and Marvel tend to handle the stories of their events differently. For DC, something like Infinite Crisis is unusual because it was a direct sequel. And even while it was a sequel, the themes, plot points, and major characters were very different. Sure, you had the returning characters, and it was based on events that happened in Crisis on Infinite Earths, but it was a story made 20 years later, and the biggest thematic connection between the two works was commenting on the state of the DC universe at the time, trying to set the stage for the next set of stories. It's more likely with DC to see event variations on the same idea. For example, there are at least 3 different major crossover events about fighting Darkseid. There's a ton concerning alternate versions of characters, at least 2 about a hellish invasion of Earth, 3 if you count Blackest Night. You get the idea. Conversely, Marvel's events tend to have a lot more sequels to them. Secret Wars 2, Civil War 2, the remake of Secret Wars, Annihilation 2, and of course what we've got today, Infinity War, the direct sequel to the Infinity Gauntlet, made a year later. And even this one has another sequel, Infinity Crusade, made another year later. Marvel sees something successful and decides to roll with it as many times as they can get away with. The problem with this, much like with Infinite Crisis, is that other stories still happen in between events, so while they're direct sequels, there's still backstory to cover. The good news is that there's less we need to talk about than last time, and I can just do it while we recap the story itself. Instead, let's take this time to remember what happened in that prior event. So, previously on the Infinity Gauntlet, Thanos, the Mad Titan, wanted to go out on a date with Death herself, but he couldn't take a hint that she just wasn't into him. He gathered together the Infinity Gems, 6 powerful items that, when combined, give their wearer the abilities of a god. After Thanos killed literally half the universe, Adam Warlock assembled a team of heroes to distract Thanos while he tried to pull off a gambit to take the gauntlet, but he failed. Thanks to some poor planning on Thanos' part, his granddaughter, whatever, Nebula, gets her hands on the gauntlet and undoes the whole killing half the universe thing, and they manage to get the gauntlet away from her. Adam Warlock takes possession of it, and Thanos decides that maybe he should try some different dating approaches instead of trying to harass a woman, and retires to be a farmer. So let's dig into the Infinity War and see if it's as good as the original. And see if this is gonna balloon out of control like last week's episode did.
Welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Linkara's gonna teach you all a lesson you won't learn. Brodsky, you're not the smartest. Life out, you're not an artist. Anyone who's had a bad comic published, it could be your turn. Linkara, he's a man punch, wears a birdie hat. Linkara, he has a magic gun. Where'd he purchase that? Linkara, coins, robots, Amazons and trucks. Linkara, this comic sucks. Linkara.
Reading from a trade, so no deep cover analysis, although interestingly, these covers seem to all be fold-out ones 3 cover widths long. I've seen worse gimmicks in books, so kudos there. We open in a cornfield on a nameless backwater planet with a Thanos scarecrow. You know, sometimes there are realms of merchandising you wouldn't think of as being potential markets, but here we are. And when you look into the Abyss also looks into you. The Abyss is very concerned about your fiber intake. This is, of course, Thanos' farm, and we see a figure wearing his clothes approach his home, but when Thanos himself turns to look, the figure is gone. I guess he was shy or something, since we see that he hid behind a tree. Thanos goes down to his basement, where he has a bunch of computer equipment scanning into space. There's some kind of interdimensional vortex that destroys a probe he sends into it. Man, aliens have much weirder farming equipment. Also, check it out. Apparently Thanos has a ticker tape printer for his advanced computer systems. Based on the scan readings, Thanos realizes that the universe is in grave peril and decides to swap back into his old clothes, taking them off the Scarecrow.
Oh geez, this was a bad idea. I'm gonna be feeling straw up my ass for a week.
Thanos heads out in a super advanced chair thing and teleports away, the story cutting to Spider-Man swinging around New York. However, nearby, a figure in another Spider-Man costume watches him go by.
Crap, the Clone Saga has begun to loop itself!
Actually, this is Doppelganger, a brief Spider-Man villain whose origins are this book. Gotta admit, there's something about Doppelganger that I really like. Kind of that same deal with how I like Venom as a twisted mirror of Spider-Man, but even more bestial here. In fact, going back to my Clone Saga joke a second ago, I'm actually quite surprised they didn't try to bring him back during the Clone Saga. He had seemingly died during Maximum Carnage. In any case, we now cut over to Galactus and his herald Nova, who are examining Eternity, aka the embodiment of the universe. Eternity is apparently in a catatonic state. Look, him and Kismet went out and had a wild night. You can't blame him if he's hungover the next morning and doesn't want to get up. I'm not sure how one can just, make the universe catatonic without affecting everybody inside of it, but whatever. Galactus is investigating this when Thanos shows up nearby and discovers the same thing outside of the World Eater's gaze. He was led here by an energy trail and then spots his double standing on a nearby asteroid, who then teleports away slasher killer style. Back on Earth, Iron Man is soon attacked by a double of himself, only spikier. As Thanos traces the energy back to a construct in space, which has power levels just below the Infinity Gauntlets, we then cut to Wolverine in the Canadian Arctic, as he too is attacked by a bestial double of himself, although his is just goofy, with Lady Deathstrike-esque finger blades and an outfit made of bright pink and green pants.
There. Sure glad I don't look stupid in this.
Thanos isn't the only one investigating the strange energy emissions, as we see that Dr. Doom is doing the same.
Energies on this level are usually controlled by a cosmic entity, but Dr. Doom senses no such player involved in this affair. Spider-Man may have a spider sense, but Doom has a cosmic entity sense! That's totally one of my powers, shut up!
He realizes that this is an opportunity for him, but will need more advanced technology than he has available. Oh, and hey, I never knew Master Chief worked for Dr. Doom. Reed Richards is the next hero attacked by a dark duplicate, though this one is just him but with red eyes and sharper teeth. Someone somewhere is getting off on this image. Anyway, one of them manages to get a hold of a gun and shoot the other. Thanos confronts the one responsible for the energy emissions, a man called... Okay, I know I shouldn't laugh at his outfit in this case because it's really no different than a lot of other superhero or villain outfits, but there's something about the combination of elements to it that just makes it a little too silly. Aside from the metal belt with a skull on it, he's several shades of purple, and has no pants, and has a lightning bolt on his chest, and his hair tied up into a little bun in the back. This is the Magus, and oh boy, this one's a bit weird. The Magus is supposed to be Adam Warlock from a dark alternate future who tried to get Adam Warlock to ensure his timeline would occur. Which, when you consider that Adam Warlock usually wears robes and capes and big collars and cool dramatic attire, apparently turning evil destroyed his fashion sense. From what I can tell, the outfit is actually based on Adam Warlock's very original outfit, which... yeah, I see now why he has the lightning bolts. Actually, I don't. Neither of them have anything resembling lightning powers. What the hell? Anyway, Magus is accompanied, as you can see, by the double of Thanos, whom the Magus says is a mere shadow of what is to come.
Franchising, my friend! Soon every region can have a Thanos!
Thanos points out that he actually helped Adam Warlock prevent the Magus' timeline from occurring, so how the hell is he here? The Magus evades the question, and the two just have a bit of verbal sparring. Back to real sparring as both Iron Man and Wolverine take on their evil twins. Wolvie manages to stab his, but Iron Man's overpowers him. Wolvie's duplicate even fades away, leaving only the fresh scent of sparkles. We also see that Spidey, impaled his doppelganger on a fence. Yeah, long story short, Doppelganger is brought back from this, but geez, Pete, that's at least 2 of your enemies dealt with by being impaled. I'd say it's a sign that should become your new strategy, but both of them came back to life. Iron Man's duplicate, however, decides to get into tentacle hentai and wrap himself around Iron Man's body in this sequence I like to call ew. When the tentacles finish, whatever it is they're doing, they now look exactly like Iron Man. Thanos and the Magus continue their talk with his continuing evasion of how he's alive, but hey, turns out the duplicate Thanos is serving as a waiter. Maybe an alternate career path in case the farming thing doesn't work out, Thanos. Just saying. Thanos admits that he came here to try to safeguard this universe and no longer wants ultimate power, and he can clearly see that Magus is indeed after that same thing. Both realize that they're wasting time trying to talk them out of their respective positions, so Magus summons an army of his duplicate heroes, and then for some reason just teleports Thanos and his space chair away. I mean, did we miss a scene? Why bother summoning the evil twins if they weren't gonna do anything? Did they get beamed into space too? I mean, they disappear when Thanos does. What's worse, Thanos checks the chair's navigational records and the energy trace. Both have been wiped, so he can't track where Magus' fortress was located. As such, he realizes he's gonna need some help. And Lady Death stopped answering my texts after that last drunken one where I was begging her to take me back. Meanwhile, Reed Richards contacts various hero groups. The Avengers, the X-Men, the New Warriors, the West Coast Avengers, X-Factor, and Alpha Flight. He says there's something of grave importance he needs to inform all of them about, setting up a meeting for the next day. He otherwise refuses to give any more details over the communicator. Doctor Strange is also summoned, but by some bright light, while Doctor Doom makes his plans by contacting someone to aid him. Kang the Conqueror.
Welcome back to the 20th century, Kang. Doom hopes you are well after your battle with the USS Enterprise.
Both think about the fact that they plan to betray the other once their usefulness is over. Then it's over to Adam Warlock, who's setting up shop on the Mole Man's Monster Island with his crew, the Infinity Watch, when Thanos shows up asking for help, ending the first issue. The second begins with the various heroes meeting at Four Freedoms Plaza, with Reed refusing to tell anyone what's up until everyone's arrived. I told you, Dr. Banner, that this situation is too complicated to get into more than once, which is why I don't have any printouts or anything to help people follow along or make sure they don't need it to be repeated to them. I'm such a smart scientist. While Doctor Doom and Kang figure out how to track the energy themselves, Thanos informs Adam Warlock and his crew about the Magus. Adam is of course a bit disbelieving that the Magus could still be alive, but the potential risk of him being around is too much to ignore. Moondragon, the lady with the bald head and the huge collar taller than her head, suggests contacting the Avengers for help, but both Thanos and Adam are against that. They don't trust Adam after the end of the Infinity Gauntlet event, and, well, the other is Thanos. They wouldn't trust him either. As you may have noticed, Adam no longer has the Infinity Gauntlet. Apparently in his solo book, the cosmic being known as the Living Tribunal decided that Warlock couldn't be trusted with the gauntlet, so he gave each of the Infinity Gems to his compatriots here to ensure they were at least kept safe, but not all on one person. Anyway, the group needs intelligence on their opponent, trying to figure out what his strategy is, so Thanos instructs them to first head to Death's palace. Oh dude, nobody likes it when their ex shows up at their place wanting something. This will end badly. Unfortunately for our heroes, the Magus is actually observing these events, this apparently being part of his overall scheme. As Kang and Doom continue to track Magus' energy to an island on Earth acting as an energy transference receptor, we learn that the one who summoned Doctor Strange was Galactus, who has brought him and the Silver Surfer in on their investigation. They've arrived at the island too, and discover some kind of sparkly energy fountain. It's mystical in nature, and Galactus can use it to track the energy trace, allowing Kang and Doctor Doom to follow them. So far, it's less an Infinity War and more an Infinity Scavenger Hunt. Our heroes did not go to Death's palace to speak with Death herself, but rather to consult something in her palace, the Infinity Well, a source of all knowledge and information that can be questioned. In this case, they ask what the deal is with the Magus. While Spider-Man is attacked by both an evil duplicate of Hawkeye and Iron Man, the Well reveals what the deal is with this Magus. It seems that during the short time Adam Warlock had the power of a god, he wanted to live up to that ideal. He felt that only a being of pure logic should be able to shoulder the responsibility of godhood.
Hermes, logic in what he says.
As such, neither good nor evil could be permitted to cloud his judgment. Thus, he subconsciously separated good and evil from himself, both forming into new and separate beings. His evil became the new Magus. No good or evil within me. That explains so much of late.
I hate these filthy neutrals, Kif. With enemies, you know where they stand, but with neutrals, who knows?
The Magus gained access to other realities and gained 5 objects of near-infinite power from them. Thanos at first thinks they might be Infinity Gems from another reality, but the well says they're not. Also, the well has a sense of humor since it forms into a question mark in its display, which really means that this thing is some kind of cosmic magic 8-ball. The Magus, still somehow observing all this, decides that they've found out enough and disrupts the cloaking device they were using to sneak in there, allowing Death to realize she has intruders in her palace. With Spider-Man and Hawkeye out of the picture, the duplicate Iron Man arrives to tell the heroes they were unavoidably detained. And he didn't just kill them because... So anyway, Reed Richards informs the group of his attack by the duplicate, but that he was able to kill it. He says that its goal was clearly to replace him, since its molecular structure could mimic anybody, and yet the Wolverine clone deliberately chose to look like that. Speaking of, Wolverine enters and informs the group that he was also attacked by a duplicate, and apparently decided to get a trench coat because walking around a snowy Canada without one was dumb of him. Back at the well, it informs the group that the Magus created those duplicates from some weird tentacle aliens from another dimension and altered them to be able to transform like they do. Before they can find out what the Magus's intentions are, Death shows up and the group is forced to teleport away. Back with the superheroes, Wolverine reveals that both Iron Man and Mr. Fantastic are fakes, claiming his enhanced senses can tell the difference. It's a bit hard to believe for the others, though, since neither Daredevil nor Charles Xavier can detect anything different about them with their own powers. However, Daredevil suddenly senses Reed Richards' finger on a button on the podium and agrees with Wolverine, attacking the two. This unintentionally starts a massive brawl between the heroes, because apparently Marvel's heroes fighting each other for no good reason is not an invention of later event comics. And Richards presses the button, revealing it to be a gamma bomb. Issue 2 ends with the bomb exploding, blasting off from the roof of the building. Fortunately, though, it's revealed at the beginning of the next issue that the Invisible Woman is able to use her force fields to repel the blast away into the sky. Man, a ton of birds are about to get a lot of superpowers. The Eric Masterson Thor uses his hammer to send the rest of the explosion upwards into space, including the fallout. Don't know how that works, but whatever. Susan Storm demands to know who the hell the imposter is and what happened to her husband, but he and the duplicate Iron Man are rescued by Magus and the duplicate Thanos, all of them escaping. Mind you, it's a pretty pitiful showing on the part of the heroes. I mean, just look. Portal opens, Magus and duplicate Thanos appear and blast a few of them, and the rest of the heroes just kind of stand there. Not to say that with the shock and surprise it wouldn't be enough time for them to escape like this, just that the artwork makes it seem like everyone's just kind of standing around doing nothing. Still, they soon get to work on trying to figure out what the hell is going on. They found Hawkeye and Spider-Man and rushed them to a hospital while they examine Mr. Fantastic's equipment. They locate coordinates tracing the energy from the sparkly receptors. Magus reveals that he's planted the coordinates for them to find. Then the gamma bomb was never meant to annihilate the gathering? Of course not! Only to confuse and stimulate Earth's honorable defenders. Especially confuse. Oh, you certainly got me there, dude, because helping your enemies is incredibly stupid, so great job on the confusion. They are spoilers, the havoc reavers, the muddiers of water. They are the stain on your shirt that refuses to go away no matter how many times you put it through the wash. In other words, they are of no consequence. They're so unimportant that I made evil duplicates of them to attack them, and in fact, made an elaborate ruse involving a bomb that could have potentially murdered them. Wait. The Magus reveals to his duplicates that he's planning on manipulating Thanos and Adam Warlock into providing him what he wants. Cap has dispatched cosmic hero Quasar to try to find out what Eternity and the other celestial beings might be willing to say about all this, but he's discovered Eternity in his catatonic state, so now they know something big is going on. Magus, meanwhile, detects that Galactus' craft is approaching him faster than anticipated, so he pushes a button and destroys Galactus' ship. Because he can just do that. Anyway, with Galactus' ship out of the way, Kang and Doom fly past its remains, now having traced the exact source of the energy. Magus explains to the Thanos duplicate that despite the original Thanos' warnings, his desire for ultimate power won't fail like it did for Thanos. Although, when you have the power to put the universe itself into a catatonic state, create evil duplicates of people, and blow up frickin' Galactus with a single button press, really, how much of a step up is infinite power? He says that Thanos' downfall came about because he subconsciously didn't feel worthy of ultimate power, but the Magus, already a tyrannical figure in his original future timeline, does feel that he is worthy and thus won't be handicapped. He's got a point. Anybody dressed like that has got to have a lot of confidence in themselves. Doom and Kang arrive at some kind of relay transmitter for the energy and start working on tracking it further, just as Thanos and Warlock's crew show up. They cloak themselves and wait things out. Thanos and Adam Warlock get some moments of character development, for Adam in particular about how much things have sucked for him for quite a while. Using the coordinates they found, the heroes send their most powerful as an expeditionary force to take on whatever awaits them, a bunch of magic users teleporting them. And by teleport, I mean travel through a Doctor Who time tunnel, I guess. Over to Eternity, the Living Tribunal shows up, having been summoned by someone to make some kind of appeal. Magus once again comments on how everything is going to plan and decides to throw another wrinkle into things for the heroes, dispatching a small army of evil duplicate heroes to face the ones left behind at Four Freedoms Plaza. I do love how the general design philosophy for these guys was make everything pointy, as exemplified best of all in the Gambit duplicate, who even has spiky knee pads and his bow staff changed to be more of a spear. Issue 3 ends with the heroes arriving right at the same place Thanos and Adam Warlock's crew are, leading into a confrontation at the beginning of issue 4. Kang and Doom have taken this opportunity to make a run for it and resume tracking the energy.
Kang, computers show that our final destination is a mere 3-dimensional sequences away. Behold, Doom's prowess for driving stick has yielded us impending victory!
Naturally, Galactus' group survive the attack and his ship reforms, resuming its quest. Back on Earth, Hank Pym slips away from the fight, apparently not having any superpowers at this point, and examines new data coming into Reed Richards' computers. A massive energy surge is sweeping through the solar system, shifting vibrational patterns. Doom and Kang arrive at Magus' stronghold and get on board, tracing their way through the complex until they discover the source of his power: astral energy containment units, aka cosmic cubes. 5 of them. As a reminder, a single cosmic cube has the ability to alter reality to its user's whims, so Magus possessing 5 of them from a few different realities gives him power almost on par with the Infinity Gauntlet. Unfortunately, the cubes also are blocked from access by safeguards set to blow them up if they're tampered with, so the two villains have to think up a new plan to get them. Back at the fight with our heroes against Thanos and Warlock, Galactus' contingent finally shows up. Thinking that the assembled groups may have useful info, Galactus puts them all in a stasis field and brings them aboard. For some reason, Doctor Strange decides to check in on Earth and sees the fight the heroes are having with the duplicates. I knew the presence of Earth's heroes meant big trouble back home. Apparently Earth can't wait 5 minutes of the heroes being gone before all hell breaks loose, and you know this wouldn't have happened if Rom hadn't left. Both Strange and the Silver Surfer want to go back to Earth to help, but Galactus says he still needs them, so he resolves it himself, using Doctor Strange's portal to deal with them. A negatively charged stream of ions beamed into our enemy's broadcast back to Earth should disrupt his plans.
Using multimodal reflection sorting.
And indeed, the duplicates now revert to half-dead tentacle sludge. Your comrades have been saved. Now may we return to the business at hand. For crying out loud, what was even the point of that subplot? Using his technology, Galactus scans the minds of all the heroes he's assembled, although for some reason it shares those memories with all of them so they all see the recap of events so far. Once everyone's up to speed, they're freed from the stasis field and realize they're not enemies at all, deferring to Galactus to make the next move. He has Thor beam back to their universe to act as a conduit for their information, since the Magus' energy broadcasts have begun increasing in intensity. Gamora also speaks with Thanos for a moment. She's a member of Adam Warlock's Infinity Watch, and her backstory is fairly similar to the one in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, if you're curious. They're concerned about the fact that they think the only way to stop the Magus is to have Adam Warlock reabsorb him back in, but they don't know what happened to his good side, so what'll that mean for Adam with only his evil side back in? Back over to Thor, he ended up on the moon next to the Watcher and is observing Earth. which is apparently experiencing the worst snowstorm in history. What the hell? The entire Earth is covered in white!
Kind of weather wouldn't even faze the Midwest.
However, that problem is soon done away with by a new one. Both the Earth and the Moon suddenly duplicating themselves.
There are 2 Earths out there! Verily, what do those cretins from the DC Earth want now?
Realizing that they need the power of the Infinity Gauntlet if they want any hope of defeating Magus, the members of the Infinity Watch hand over their gems to Adam Warlock, allowing him to reform it. However, they make note of the fact that Adam already has the Reality Gem, despite telling them before that he had a secret individual holding onto it. However, the Gauntlet does nothing. Thanos believes this is part of the Living Tribunal's judgment about the thing. When brought together, the gems now no longer work in unison. Galactus, however, foresaw this eventuality, somehow, and reveals that he was the one who summoned the Living Tribunal at Eternity. He's going to appeal to him to reverse the decision so that the Gauntlet can have its full power again to combat Magus. Gamora will come along with Galactus for the appeal as a representative of the Infinity Watch, strictly for legal purposes, of course. Gotta love how one of Marvel's nigh-omnipotent figures is a dude who really stresses following proper bureaucracy. After the two depart, Magus finally springs his plan into action. He teleports in and grabs Adam Warlock, dragging him into a portal before the others can act. And this is what I mean by them standing around earlier. The art clearly portrays here how fast these actions are, basically in and out before anyone can do anything except for Thanos, who leaps at them and falls on top of Hercules and the Thing. But yeah, this was the Magus's goal, to steal the Infinity Gauntlet and have Galactus make the Living Tribunal re-engage its power. All he had to do was make the living embodiment of the universe go into a catatonic state so Galactus would find it while he had wine and crackers with Thanos to show off his power, so Thanos would recruit Adam Warlock to resummon the Infinity Gauntlet to oppose him, which would then force Galactus to make the Living Tribunal reactivate the Gauntlet, making sure all the parties arrived exactly where he wanted them to go at the right time by having the heroes of Earth face off against evil doppelgangers of themselves and not get exploded by a gamma bomb so they could teleport to the coordinates and distract Thanos and Adam Warlock long enough so they wouldn't leave before Galactus got there. This is not the dumbest villain plan we've ever seen on this show, but it is the most convoluted. Thanos reveals to the heroes that Magus is creating an evil duplicate universe that will merge with the original universe and allow him to take it over completely.
And by the way, everyone back on Earth and the rest of the galaxy are entranced. I know all that because shut up.
Actually, he claims to know all this because of the telemetry sent back via Thor, but all the information Thor is relaying is just that there's a duplicate Earth appearing. How the hell is he getting the rest of that? Captain America takes charge, having Professor X, Jean Grey, Psylocke, and Moondragon enhance their psychic abilities with Galactus' ship to try to help free Earth's population from being entranced, while Doctor Strange and the rest of the Mystics head back to their universe to try to do what they can. Thanos makes his own backup plan that he shares with the heroes. I mentioned back in the JLA/Avengers review the Ultimate Nullifier, which Galactus tends to keep on his ship, and takes hold of it, suggesting that the hero Quasar may be able to wield it to defeat Magus, although of course the Nullifier is way too powerful, and is just as likely to destroy its wielder as the thing it's targeting, along with the entire universe, so bit of a design flaw. Issue 4 ends with Galactus arriving to plead his case to the Living Tribunal.
Galactus, I am ready to consider your case. Present it well, for your dimension and its very existence may depend on the outcome of this hearing. As you say. Now I'm just a simple country world eater.
We go into issue 5 with Thor wanting to rejoin his comrades, but of course can't because he's still streaming data back to Galactus' ship. The Magus, in the meantime, takes the gauntlet and gloats to Adam Warlock about how he set up these machinations to get the Living Tribunal to reactivate the gauntlet and he can use it. The Psychics transmit their telepathic signal through to Earth through a character named Sleepwalker, long story there, to free the Earth. The hope is that if any one portion of the universal takeover can be stopped, all sectors will be halted. We have no reason to believe that, but we're relying on the power of plot convenience. Thanos dispatches Quasar to destroy the Magus, but when he hesitates to use the Nullifier, he realizes Magus by that point will have discovered him and makes plans for a direct assault, teleporting in with all the other heroes from Earth. Meanwhile, the Living Tribunal stands by as ruling to disable the Gauntlet, but since Eternity was the one who first brought the case to him, they say they have to appeal to Eternity instead. Galactus and Gamora working to wake the universe up from its nap so they can proceed. Magus continues to gloat about all this, even pointing out that he's using his equipment to disable the ultimate nullifier, so even that's useless. However, it's then that Doom and Kang strike, blasting the computer equipment. Adam decides to fight against the two as well in a devil you know versus two guys he's only heard of kind of deal. However, destroying the equipment has deactivated the field, keeping the ultimate nullifier from working. Magus flies off to use the cosmic cubes directly to protect himself, Doom also taking the opportunity to betray Kang while he's weak from the fight.
Dr. Doom owes you for your assistance in making him king of all reality. Unlike certain monarchs, Doom always pays his debts promptly. Doom presents you with this 50% off coupon for merchandise at the Latverian Tourism Gift Shop.
Magus arrives at the Cosmic Cubes, only to find that all 5 of them have been stolen already by unknown hands. As Doom attacks him, Quasar starts getting the nullifier to charge its power, but Galactus and Gamora succeed in waking up Eternity, who grants the reactivation of the gems. Before Magus can surrender the gauntlet to Doom, it starts working, and he uses it to turn the nullifier on Quasar, killing him.
My every whim is a mere urge away from reality. So this is how it feels to be omnipotent. A lot more tingly than I was expecting, frankly.
As Magus quickly adapts to godhood faster than even Thanos or Adam Warlock had, the heroes step through a portal to attack Magus's fortress, only to walk right into a trap left by Magus, featuring more evil duplicates. However, Thanos teleports to a different location, using the heroes as a distraction while he goes to take out Magus directly, hoping that he's vulnerable while still adjusting to his power. However, he's quickly met by his own doppelganger, who knew that this would be the action he took. Turns out Magus made the Thanos duplicate too well. He wants the Infinity Gauntlet's power for himself, but since there's only one gauntlet, he needs to ensure the real Thanos can't get it either. And so issue 5 ends with Magus preparing to finally kill Adam Warlock once and for all. And the final issue opens with him deciding to forestall that end so he can witness the agony of Adam's defeat.
False cliffhangers are but one aspect of my new infinite power.
Magus finishes the merging, leaving the psychics and magic users unsure of what to do now. Thor is brought back to Galactus' ship at the same time Galactus and Gamora return as well, and they compare notes. Galactus learns of the mistake they've made.
Our prospects have gone from dim to ebon, pants to be eboned.
They join the last-ditch effort to fight the Magus, but the villain sees all this and knows they're already screwed. The heroes are all forced into a big glowy ball as part of the Magus' trophy room, and finally gets ready to kill Adam Warlock. Thanos shows up, having defeated his double. He says it's all over for the Magus, who just keeps saying he's a god and he can't be stopped. However, when Thanos says that reality is not what he perceives, Magus realizes something's wrong, especially as Thanos is able to fight back against his power. Adam Warlock gets free and touches the gauntlet. Being already familiar with it, he's able to access its power, and the two struggle to take control over it. The fortress is destroyed, and the assembled heroes watch as the two continue to fight amongst the stars, verbally sparring just as much as they are for control of the gauntlet. They make a run for it in Galactus' ship as the energy waves from their battle are warping reality itself around them. It looks like Magus is winning through at first, but then something seems to explode out of Adam's chest, revealed to be a composite of both Eternity and another cosmic being, Infinity. I rarely, if ever, see Infinity represented, and as I've said before, Marvel cosmic stuff is not my forte, but from what I can glean, they're both representations of the universe, with Eternity being more time and Infinity space. But for whatever reason, they're here now, and I guess we're inside of Adam Warlock? I don't know. Also, Reed Richards is suddenly with the other heroes aboard Galactus' ship because of reasons. Maybe he was in the trophy room too? Yeah, this part is a bit confusing. In any case, Galactus' ship can't outrun the blast of all this power, and it looks like they're going to be destroyed, but then the heroes suddenly find themselves back on Earth in their respective headquarters, speculating about what just happened and figuring that they won. Well, thank goodness they contributed so much to the story that they could just be teleported back to Earth without even knowing what the hell happened. Fortunately, we do learn what happened thanks to Thanos and the Infinity Watch. Adam Warlock is in a coma, and the gems have returned to their respective members. Thanos explains that he and Adam had figured that the Magus was watching them and playing a larger game. But what's more, that he wasn't as fully in control of the situation as he thought, as evidenced by the duplicate Thanos seeming to appear sometimes on his own and watching them for seemingly no reason. As such, they set a trap for the Magus when they figured out what he was probably after. Thanos created a facsimile of the reality gem. Magus never had the full power of the Infinity Gauntlet, but of course even one of the gems is dangerous enough, so he was still pretty powerful. Eternity arrives to inform them that he's reinstituting the restrictions on the Infinity Gauntlet, but what's more, the Living Tribunal won't allow the gems to work in unison again regardless of the situation. And I'm pretty sure they end up getting used again a few times afterwards, but whatever, it's comic books. Such decrees are as fleeting as the death of a superhero. Thanos admits that Warlock absorbed the Magus into himself again, so he might emerge as a far more villainous person than intended without his good side. However, Gamora points out that Thanos himself has changed over these events. Death has rejected me. Like it or not, Thanos of Titan is now one of the living, and he will soon be setting up a dating website profile. After Thanos departs, we see that Magus has been contained inside of Adam Warlock's soul gem, swearing that he'll make a comeback by raising a psychic army inside of the gem, declaring that these two dudes will be his first recruits. But it turns out that they can't see him. Since Magus is just a dark aspect of Adam himself, he's not a full spirit and can't actually interact with anything. And so our comic ends with Thanos returning to his farm and wondering who he is now. Hero, villain, or maybe just wiser. He wonders if he could retain ultimate power now and not subconsciously reject it like he did before, but he's not certain if he even wants it. However, he also ponders two other questions. Who stole the Magus's cosmic cubes? And what's more, if Magus represented Adam Warlock's evil half, what happened to his good half? And we see that good half on the final page floating in space along with not just the 5 cosmic cubes, but 3 more. But that's a story for another time, assuming it gets voted on for Event Comics Month 3. In the meantime though, Infinity War is a mixed bag. The good stuff is that, yet again, it's a massive situation on a scale that calls for it being an event. Character work with Thanos and Adam Warlock is top-notch, particularly the evolution of Thanos as detailed in the last few pages. Having multiple plot threads that converge in issue 4 and allow us to see the depths of Magus's evil plan work very well structurally, especially when we realize how all the various aspects play into the story and what he's been trying to accomplish. It's extraordinarily convoluted, sure, but you can't argue with the results as the characters make logical actions based on the information fed to them until they're manipulated into doing what Magus wanted. But then there's the bad stuff. Like with the original Infinity Gauntlet, the heroes from Earth serve little or no purpose in being here, being mere pawns in someone else's story. This is a story about Adam Warlock versus the Magus. The heroes are along for the ride because it wouldn't be an event without them involved, but otherwise they don't do much, just serving as distractions for everyone else to use. It's made even worse when you realize that there were much easier ways of handling what Magus was trying to accomplish. The evil duplicates were completely pointless. Sure, manipulating the heroes to act as their distractions is fine, but they didn't need to look like evil versions of them in order to fool everybody. What's more, during the meeting, only a handful of heroes were attacked by the doppelgangers before it started. Did Magus only want certain heroes replaced? Because if that's the case, his choices are a bit confusing. Iron Man and Mr. Fantastic made sense, but why Spider-Man? Why Hawkeye? Why Wolverine? Maybe you could argue Spider-Man because of his spider sense alerting him to danger, or Wolverine's ability to sniff out the others, but the attempt to replace Hawkeye is baffling. And even then, if the goal was just to use the heroes to keep Thanos and the Infinity Watch at that spot for when Galactus arrived, why not just use the duplicates to begin with for that battle? And again, if he really needed the heroes for this distraction, maybe don't plant a huge-ass bomb that could have killed them all if Susan Storm was a second too late. The Magus himself as a villain is less than compelling. He looks ridiculous as it is, but then you add him constantly boasting and gloating about how awesome he is, and he just becomes tiresome and annoying. It would have been more tolerable if they didn't keep cutting to him laughing maniacally and going, "Mwahaha! They're doing exactly what I want them to do!" It's not necessary. Also, despite the name, it's not really much of a war, more an infinity series of skirmishes. I feel like it could have just been called Infinity Gauntlet 2 and it would have have matched better. The artwork leaves a lot to be desired, very basic and lacking a lot of details. I know that can be hard to put in for a book of this size, each issue being 40 pages long, but the original Infinity Gauntlet had some very impressive artwork, particularly with the cosmic battles. The fight scenes here are very lackluster, and the backgrounds are fairly generic and lacking anything interesting. So yeah, Infinity War. Not bad, but the movie's probably gonna be better. Next time, we really get a war going as we jump ahead to 2007 for World War Hulk.
I'm Danielle Dentari. Here's a brief update on the current standings in the Contest of Champions. We'll be back with more details tonight relative to your universe's timescale.